Hey guys. Yeah, so it is 4:26 in the afternoon, and I have not showered. So that's where we are in this whole coronavirus thing. It took me a while to get here, but yep. So that's why my hair is kind of crazy, and I just figured, you know what, I'm just gonna make my video and whatever. Okay, so we are on day 5 of Reconstruction. This would be the last set of notes. Um, I would probably make a bigger deal in class, like this is the last time you have to write anything. But yeah. So anyway, day 5 is just kind of wrapping up some of the stuff that goes on with the Indians and things like that. The Civil War and Reconstruction were the big things, and then this is just kind of what happens to the Indians and setting the stage for what happens in the second part of U.S. history, which you'll learn about your sophomore year. It's changed since I was in school, and I don't really remember when it. I think it's sophomore year. Okay, so in order to have more land, the American Army, like if you were a veteran of the Civil War, especially in the cavalry, and you wanted to stay on with the Army, most troops got sent home, but some stayed and were transferred to the West. So guys like George Armstrong Custer, he was a cavalry officer in the Civil War. If you remember in class before the whole Corona thing, I mentioned that there's a famous picture of Custer and one of his friends. He was a captured Confederate officer, and they'd gone. I think they were roommates in West Point together, and so I've already kind of talked about him. But he was one of the guys that went out and fought. Let's see, here it is, the Battle of Little Bighorn, which was an Indian victory. Crazy Horse, I believe, was the Indian chief. And Custer I think it was just misinformation. I'm not too confident on this part of history, kind of after the Civil War, but basically I know that one contributing factor to Custer's defeat was his men were given single shots, carbines, whereas some of the Indians had repeaters that they'd gotten their hands on. So the economic decisions of the U.S. Army, meaning trying to save money, was part of his downfall. They didn't have any close combat weapons. They had pistols, but they had left their swords behind. And anyway, but Custer and his men pretty much got wiped out. The 7th Cavalry, if you ever hear about the 7th Cavalry, or Custer's last stand, But most of the other battles against the Indians went in favor of the American Army. The Indians did not do so good. So yeah, the Native Americans, of course, once they were forced off their land, they were given reservations, right? I went on a mission trip to the Navajo Reservation, which is here, basically in Arizona. That's why I've been to the Four Corners, which is the Four Corners of Colorado, Utah, Arizona, and New Mexico. So, yeah, these guys were all given land, which ruined their way of life. And now, gotta tread carefully here. There are people who today will say America it's an evil country because look what we did in our past. Yeah, I guess, but just because America did bad things a long time ago doesn't mean that America's bad now. I mean, every country, I've said this before in class, every country has something bad in their past. So our sins in our past are the way we treated Indians and slavery. I'd say those are the big two. Yeah, but we've moved on. It's like when you're a young person, we've all, well, you guys are still in your teens, but you will mess up. Some of you probably already have messed up, but that doesn't mean you're a bad person for the rest of your life. You move on and you become better and you grow up. And anyway, so I feel like people are always like, America, look what we did to the. Okay, fine, and yeah, okay, we still don't make good decisions all the time today, but okay, well, I'm rambling on. Sorry. Next is the Dawes Act. The Dawes Act was designed to, it was actually supposed to help Native Americans. It actually ended up hurting Native Americans, but it's one of those things where it sounded good on paper and it just didn't work out well. So each Indian tribe, or actually each individual Indian, was given, their families were given 160 acres, kind of like the Homestead Act. I think they had to live there for 25 years. The problem is, and then they become citizens, actually. So that was a good thing. The Indians is trying to incorporate the Indians into American society. So it's, like I said, it's supposed to be a good thing. But what happened is the Indians don't know, some of them don't know about farming, the nomadic ones that were hunters, the ones that moved around. They were given poor land, which didn't yield many crops. One of the parts of the law said that whatever the Indians didn't get would be open up for sale for white settlers, and so that caused a whole mess of problems. Indians ended up getting ripped off. It just, yeah, wasn't good for the Native Americans. But anyway, so the Dawes Act was, they tried to incorporate Indians into American society, but it just didn't work. All right, and then the labor reform. I think I mentioned earlier in the year the Bessemer steel process, which made steel a whole lot faster than before. So that, like it kind of goes hand in hand with the Transcontinental Railroad because we need a lot of steel, and so this helps us produce steel. And if you ever, so I'm a big nerd, but if you ever, I watched a video about like how to make steel, and you would think, oh, they just mixed up together, and there is, your temperature and everything has to be just right for it to go correctly. It's kind of interesting. I don't know, whatever. You probably find it really boring. Yeah, workers are going to continue for more rights because you got kids here working in these factories as machines, have all these moving parts. We've talked about this before with the other industrial revolution, so it's kind of the same thing. They form trade unions and they go on strike and stuff. Here they are going on strike. So, yeah, there you go. That is the end of the notes. So, no star test this year. I think y'all would have done well, but oh well. I guess we won't know. So, yeah. All right, so that is it, guys. Have a good summer.